Welcome to Rice TVX. Give me a 5x5 if you can hear me. On today's Rice Report, we're going to be talking about the income tax. Is it based on voluntary compliance? Plus, Kraken Exchange has taken on the IRS as well.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
If you guys happen to be watching this on replay, I would say fast forward to about the 4-minute, 20-second mark. A few quick messages from the channels and sponsors who make it possible to bring this content to you here on Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain. Before we get into it, take time to visit my website at ricetvx.com. There you can sign up for my mailing list so you can stay up to date on all things rice. Once you've signed up for my mailing list, you will find links for my channels and socials towards the top of the website. Make sure you are subscribed to both of my YouTube channels, Rice Against the Grain and Rice TVX. If you want to support my work directly, as well as get early access, exclusive content for both channels, plus more, join my Patreon. And as always, a few quick messages from the sponsors of Rice TVX, and you can find information in every video description for Monarch Wallet and pre-search the decentralized search engine. All right. I do appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune in for today's live stream, today's Rice Report. Before we begin, if you want to make sure you have an opportunity to take advantage of my partnership with ITM Trading, it is a way that you can support Rice TVX and look out for yourself at the same damn time. You get to get two birds stoned at once. So check this out. With this partnership, you, as a Rice TVX viewer, subscriber, you get to take advantage of a free gold and silver strategy call with the professionals at ITM Trading. It is a way that you can support the channel and hedge against the inflation we have going on. So listen up. I also wanted to share that I have recently partnered up with ITM Trading. So if you want to schedule a gold and silver strategy call to build your wealth shield and support Rice TVX, be sure to use my specific landing page that you see on the screen, and I will also include custom Calendly links and an 800 number that you can utilize to schedule your strategy call with the ITM Trading professionals. And again, it is a way to support Rice TVX. So I wanted to give everybody time to join us on today's live stream. I always got to give it a few minutes for once I go live to give everyone time to join us for the live stream. And another thing that I do want to mention to everybody, my birthday is tomorrow. So if you guys want to wish me a happy birthday, I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, there's several ways you can do so. This is one way right here on my partnership with ITM Trading. You got to use that specific landing page, and you got to call that specific 866-516-5028. The other partnership that I have going on is with Money Metals Exchange, and right now you could take advantage of this partnership. Let me go ahead and get this on screen so you guys can see this. The new deal that we have ongoing with with Money Metals Exchange is you got to visit this very specific landing page, moneymetals.com/rice. It will forward you to the moneymetals.com, but it will click the information and a cookie will be shared and I will get credit. You can enter to win 10 ounces of silver by making any purchase. By the end of every month, there's going to be 3 monthly winners every month. In order for you to be entered, make any purchase using moneymetals.com/rice. And that is for new and returning buyers. This isn't a first-time buyer deal like before. This is for everybody to take advantage. Make a purchase between the first and end of the month, and you get entered to win. We've got 2 days left in this month. So I would encourage you to take advantage. And then in May, you make a purchase and you get entered to win. Every month, there's going to be 3 monthly winners, each winning 10 ounces of silver, unless that changes. And I will let you know in advance. All right. So the other way that you can support my channel is by joining up on my Patreon, which I will have information scrolling across the bottom of the screen. I will be phasing out my Patreon in the next 90 days. Once my private website is being built, I will go into a little bit more information about my Patreon. And in regards to the private website, there's information scrolling on the bottom of the screen. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the first article that I'm going to be sharing on today's video. Everything is going to be linked down below. I'm going to try to keep this as short and sweet as possible. Before we begin, I'm going to go ahead and look at the live chat. We had some nice banter going on, which I really appreciate. Tara Spence, I do not support House of Marcus or Robert Michael. If you can, go over to Rice Against the Grain and check out my 2 videos entitled You Can't Handle My Truth about the legal fiction, part 1 and 2. I do not support House of Marcus or Robert Michael, so please do not promote any of his information in my live chat. I would greatly appreciate that, Tara Spence. If you could remove your comment, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Laura, thank you for joining. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button. Thank you for the 5x5s. B Chad, Kaja, Rep, Tara Spence, C2AZ, Pathfinder, New World Crypto. Thank you for joining. Definitely make sure you guys are smashing that like button, my friends. And thank you for the happy birthday wishes. There is information on the bottom of the screen if you want to support the channel. If you want to send a birthday gift, my information in regards to my Patreon, or excuse me, my Cash App, my PayPal, and my cryptocurrency addresses are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you guys would like to send me a little special birthday wish, we would greatly appreciate. I am going to be taking the rest of the weekend off after this live stream, and there will be another video coming out on both channels on Monday. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is Kraken. Kraken is taking a stand for crypto, and I really appreciate what Kraken is doing as an organization. Shout out to Jesse Powell and everybody involved there. So we have Coinbase that's taking on the SEC. Now Kraken has joined Coinbase in an effort to push back against the growing regulatory scrutiny by the United States regulators. So Kraken asked San Francisco court to intervene against IRS demands. This was reported yesterday. And what it deals with is Kraken is taking the fight against the United States Internal Revenue Service and its demand to present critical exchange user information to the court. The exchange deemed IRS's demand for customer information as an unjustified treasure hunt, which I appreciate them taking a stand. The crypto exchange has requested a federal court in San Francisco to intervene in the issue and ask IRS to back off, Bloomberg reported. Kraken's pushback against the IRS comes in reaction to the agency's February summons demanding additional user information to identify Kraken accounts that did at least 20,000 in cryptocurrency trading in a single year between 2016 and 2020. We're talking about AML, KYC, which is know your customer, anti-money laundering law information that's required for exchanges and anybody using the banking system. Coinbase has provided this information on several occasions. The exchange in its request cited Coinbase's case from 2017 and said that the tax agency has gone far beyond the rules set by U.S. District Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley. In the Coinbase case, the agency scaled back its initial demand after Coinbase's continual refusal. However, Judge Corley decided that the summons sent to more than 14,000 customers on the exchange wasn't too intrusive because the IRS had a valid reason to look into taxpayers who might not be disclosing their Bitcoin gains. You guys can read this in its entirety. I definitely encourage you to do so. This is how I wanted to start out the video. The other thing that I wanted to let people know is yesterday I did an interview with somebody that I consider to be an American hero. And that is this guy named Joe Banister. He was featured in the documentary America Freedom to Fascism. This is his website, Agent for Truth. That interview is available right now on my Patreon channel, and it is also available for private members. So right now, I'm going to take an opportunity to pull up my Patreon channel. Well, there it is. And if you go on here, you will see the Joe Banister former IRS Special Agent interview, early access, unedited. Right now, I have 3 different levels of membership that you guys can choose from, a $5, $10, and $20 level membership. Only do monthly because I will be phasing this out 90 days after I get my private website built. So the private website, there are 5 spots that are currently open. 5 spots that are currently open. If you want to get lifetime access, I found a developer. We're in the process of getting everything set up for getting a redesign of the main website and get the website put up for videos and a forum and a place for the community to communicate. If you want to get lifetime access to this private website, I'm doing a fundraiser. 50 people will get lifetime access. There's 5 spots left. You get a special gift. It's a swag bag of Rice TVX swag. I'm going to have a couple pens, several stickers, a promotional wooden nickel, and the other cool item that I got are these patches for Rice Against the Grain and Rice TVX. These are roughly 2 by 2, 2 inches by 2 inches in size, and they have Velcro backing. So they'll stick to anything with Velcro. It's PVC with a 3D indenture on it. Really cool item. Very limited print on everything that I did except for the promotional wooden nickels. I made a few extra to give out at Bitcoin 2023 in Miami, Florida, which I'll talk about in other future videos that I'll be going to next month. Then the Rice TVX one is glow in the dark. The blue glows in the dark. And once you charge it up, it glows strong. I've got videos where I've shown where I was in the bathroom in a dark room after charging it up, how bright it is. But the Rice Against the Grain and Rice TVX Velcro patches and all the additional swag. 5 spots left, $100. I have my Cash App, my PayPal information in the video description. And you can email me at ricemediagroup@protonmail.com, and you can get early access to that video with Mr. Joe Banister. So, and I'll have information about my Patreon. You could join Patreon. If you can't afford to do the lifetime membership, again, Patreon, just do month by month basis. And it only charges you from like the time that you join my Patreon. It's not every month on the 1st. It's going to be 30 days or whatever from the time that you join. So if you join today or you join tomorrow, you won't be paying again for another 30 days. Whereas some Patreon channels, they'll charge you at the very beginning of the month. So in this instance, it is safe to join my Patreon channel if you guys can't afford to do the fundraiser. So I'm going to share some information, some clips that I had made in regards to Joe Banister. So Joe Banister is a former IRS special agent. He came about some information about income tax being voluntary, being based on voluntary compliance. So he, as an investigator, investigated this, and after 2 years, he came to some interesting findings. So the clips that I have, I will be sharing here in just a moment. And then I have a video. I'm saving the best for last. I have a video that talks about a former IRS commissioner mentioning that income tax is voluntary, a senator who talks about tax being voluntary on 3 separate occasions. I had taken a timestamp of notes, and now I got to figure out where I put that. Yeah, 3 separate occasions he said voluntary. So I'll be saving the best for last when it comes to this video with a former IRS commissioner who was actually a commissioner at the time on his way out, saying that the income tax is voluntary. So this is the first clip that I'm going to share from Joe Banister so you can kind of get an idea of what this guy is about. This is what he says at the beginning of his speeches and his presentations.
This isn't a sales pitch to take on the IRS. You'll see from my story that I got a few arrows in my back from tussling with them, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. But, let your conscience be your guide.
Let your conscience be your guide. We did a 2-hour interview. We went in depth with his situation that took place. It is an awesome interview. I also interviewed another former IRS agent, and that is Sherry Peel Jackson. You can find that interview on both of my channels, and I also have it linked down below in the video description. It's this video right here on Rice TVX that's called Where is the Law? Show Me the Law with Dr. Sherry Peel Jackson. She is another former IRS agent. She was indicted. She was found guilty. She did do prison time. The situation that took place with Joe Banister, former IRS Special Agent, he was indicted. He was acquitted. He was not found guilty. So his situation is a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing. These are the allegations that after his 3 years of research, am I getting that right? No, 2 years, about 2.5 years of research before he put together his preliminary report. These are the allegations that he came up with.
So I prepared a report. It's about 95 pages long, and it synthesized just some, not all, because the report would be 9,500 pages long. Just a synthesis of some of what I encountered that caught my attention, that I thought, this doesn't seem right. There seems to be a problem with the way the IRS is enforcing and applying the federal income tax laws. And by the way, I agree with Jason wholeheartedly that the income tax and all the taxes in the Internal Revenue Code are 100% constitutional, and there's nothing wrong with them. It's the way the IRS enforces the laws. It's as if the laws apply to a group of people that's this big, but the IRS enforces the income tax in a circle this big. So in this report, I basically reduced it to 3 allegations. Constitutional limitations, that Jason mentioned. Most Americans not required to file income tax returns and pay income tax. I'll explain a little more why that's the case later in the presentation. 16th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was never legally ratified, and the U.S. government finances its operations from the unconstitutional creation of fiat money, not with revenue from income taxes. How do you think that went over at the IRS? I had a transmittal letter that I gave to my bosses at the IRS along with this report, and the basic gist of my message was, I've gone to bat for the agency for the income tax. It's been around for, it wasn't 100 years then, but it has been now. I've done my best to go to bat for the system, and I'm coming up with some very serious questions. And I did take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and I don't know about everybody else here, but I remember that oath, and I took it to God, and I'm not, I don't mess around with that, and you guys shouldn't either. But near the end, I said, if the service, the IRS, declines to conduct its own analysis or dismisses the evidence in this report without proper review, then I must tender my resignation. My oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States was made to God, and I cannot serve 2 masters.
You're a coup, Joe.
I think you deserve it.
So what do you think the IRS did when I offered to resign if they wouldn't review my information? This was my boss, Paul Varvel, down there. And he said the Internal Revenue. Now, he told me that he didn't write this. He had people from above tell him what to write. This is kind of the way the IRS works. It's a top-down kind of thing. So when the IRS tells you that 2 lunkheads in Cincinnati caused all that scrutiny of all those conservative groups, don't believe it. It's top-down there at the IRS. So Paul, the chief, the upper-ups in Washington, through Paul, told me that the Internal Revenue Service will not be responding to your request and will provide you with the paperwork to tender your resignation.
See, I consider someone like that to be a real patriot, a real American hero, someone who stood up for what he believed in, for the oath that this man took to the Constitution based off of his research and findings. And he still hasn't gotten an answer to the question. Him and Sherry Peel Jackson have never been shown the law. We've never been shown the law. So I encourage you to check out this interview that I did with Joe Banister. It will be released publicly next week, but it is available right meow on my Patreon channel. And for private members, if you want to join up for that fundraiser that I shared just a little bit ago, I'll share that again at the end of the video. If you're enjoying this, smash that like button. And I encourage you, share this video with 10 people that you know that would enjoy having their eyes pulled open to the truth, and encourage those 10 people to share this video with 10 of their friends. So I'm going to share the next clip that I came up with. These are the conclusions that Joe Banister came up with after his research.
So I want to go over just briefly, because this isn't a class and I don't have a lot of time, and I hope you'll do more research and study on your own time. But just the basic conclusions that I've come to after years of taking arrows in the back. The average working American is not liable to pay the federal income tax. The law clearly states that only Americans who are liable, actually anyone who's liable to pay the income tax, is required to keep records and file returns. So you might ask, well, does the IRS agree that you must be liable for a tax before being required to file a tax return? Yes, they do. In the 1040 instruction booklet, cleverly hidden there, something called the Disclosure Privacy Act and Paperwork Reduction Act Notice. And there it is. You must file a return for any tax you are liable for. That's what it says. That's the IRS's instructions. They're explaining to you, pursuant to the Privacy Act, the Paperwork Reduction Act. These are acts passed by Congress that require government agencies to do certain things. One of those things the IRS is required to do is tell you what law requires the information that you're supposed to be giving them. So they didn't like having to do this, but they have to do it. Few people, unfortunately, read the Privacy Act, but there's some real nuggets in there. Another conclusion, 16th Amendment was fraudulently ratified, and even if ratified properly, it did not expand federal taxing power. And as Jason pointed out earlier, that's because the Supreme Court said that the 16th Amendment did not expand federal taxing power. Not me, not Jason, not anyone else. That's what the Supreme Court says, and I'll show you a few samples. Bruchaber case. The provisions of the 16th Amendment conferred no new power of taxation. And I hope you look up these cases, write down the citation there. The 16th Amendment does not extend the taxing power to new or accepted subjects. Peck & Co. v. Lowe. The Eisner case, as repeatedly held, the 16th Amendment did not extend the taxing power to new subjects. The other thing to consider is that most Americans don't even have income as that term is defined over and over and over again by the United States Supreme Court. In the Stratton's Independence case, the gains derived from capital, from labor, or from both combined. That's what income is. In the Eisner case, a gain, a profit, something of exchangeable value, proceeding from the property, severed from the capital, being derived, that is received or drawn by the recipient for his separate use. So think of it like an apple tree, okay? And the apples fall from the tree. So when they say severed from the capital, the tree is the capital, and the apple is the income that's severed from the capital.
All right. Now, this guy wrote this book. It's called Investigating the Federal Income Tax And it was a preliminary report. And now is a report to the American people. This is available on his website. We talk all about it on this interview. Now, this isn't the only thing available on my Patreon and for private members. There's lots of other exclusive content, and there's lots of other early access videos that have not been released yet. So it's not like you're just going to be joining up my Patreon or becoming a lifetime member, just getting the Joe Banister interview. But I'm telling you, this guy is on fire, and I definitely appreciate what he's doing. I also encourage you guys after the video to make sure you take an opportunity to head over to my website, ricetvx.com, and sign up for my mailing list. I'm going to be getting my mailing list started going again the very beginning of March. I am taking this weekend off for my birthday, and I'm going to be taking a very interesting trip for my weekend as well. I'm sure you guys can catch the drift. I want to check out the comments, and then I got one more clip to share before I save. Like I said, I saved the best for last. Before I saved some senators and former IRS commissioner talking about our voluntary tax system. So let me see what we got going on with the comments. Again, I appreciate everybody for taking the time to join in. Smash that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. It's supposed to help with the YouTube algorithm flow, they say. Again, I appreciate the birthday wishes. Let me see where we're at with the comments. Carl Stenback is talking about looking at the Stamp Act protest of 1765. That might be part of this conversation that's going on with Tara Spence and possibly El Perro. Once again, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate Paul Revere, 1776. Got to ring the alarms. Got to wake people up. We've got a nice little conversation going on here. Mr. David Brumbelow, let your conscience be your guide. A lot of people have been sharing some information that I appreciate. And I appreciate everybody for taking the time to join in on today's video. AAPI, thanks for tuning in. Hi to you, man. I am high. I hope you're high. Let's keep going. Got a lot of chatter going on, and I appreciate everybody for taking the time to join in. Andy Lee, it's always good having you in the chat. Hugs back to you. All right, let's see what we got going on with the rest of the comments, and then we're going to share some more information. I got one more clip, little short clip to share from Mr. Banister. And then I want to be sharing this awesome video. So this clip that I'm going to be sharing, it was an appearance. I think her name is Laura Ingram. So Joe's story actually took place. He resigned in 1999. And the first criminal issue he had was 2003, then 2005. He's had some ongoing issues as well, which is why he says, let your conscience be your guide, because dealing with the IRS is no joke. And you got to really know what you're doing. You can't just say income tax is voluntary. It's based on voluntary compliance. You really actually need to be able to back that up with full understanding and comprehension of IRS or IR, the Internal Revenue Code, IRC, and U.S. Code, USC. So check out this clip.
But illegal immigrants can steal IDs and then file for over and get payments for child tax credits fraudulently, never get prosecuted. Explain how this can happen.
You and your guest, Laura, were talking a lot about the deep state earlier in your show, and I would propose that the IRS is the original deep state operation.
I'm telling you, the interview that I did with this guy, it's an awesome interview. I really appreciate, and I'm trying to share stories of Americans, patriots, people around the world that have done great things, that have stood up for the things that they believe in, and do it honorably. People like Bernard von Nothaus. I have a playlist on Rice TVX. I think it's called Freedom Activist. Let me double check what I'm calling this thing, and I will do a screen share. And you guys can check out some of the interviews with previous people that fit in that category. Another thing is, if you guys join up my Patreon and or my private membership with the fundraiser, next week, I am next Friday doing my third interview with another individual who's in this Freedom Activist playlist, and that is the author from The Creature from Jekyll Island, Mr. G. Edward Griffin. I'll be doing my third interview with him, If you're a patron, if you're a lifetime member, you'll get early access unedited before it comes out publicly. So in this playlist, I have interviews with Ammon Bundy. If you don't know who Ammon Bundy is, you need to watch these interviews. Bernard von Nothaus. We also have Sheriff Richard Mack. We have Sherry Peel Jackson, G. Edward Griffin, as I mentioned, and a speech that I gave at Crypto Mindset Reset 2 entitled When Enough People Take a Stand. I think most of you know the saying goes that I like to share. When enough people take a stand, nothing can stand against the people. So I have this linked down below in the video description. You might notice I have a different background going on. For those of you who are watching and you understand what this background that I have on this live screen represents, comment in the live stream and let me know what this yellow and black flag represent. Now, let me go ahead and stop this screen share because I can't share audio on that element. Again, everything that I share is linked in the video description. I'm going to play a part of the video. Let me know if you can hear it. And then we will proceed.
Liberal group got a exempt status.
Can you hear that? Let me know if you can hear that. Give the video a 5x5. And I'm turning everything up on my end. And let me see what we got going on in the chat. I'm assuming people can hear this. Sound is good. Okay, so here we go.
Status, and 3 that I just mentioned didn't for over 2 years. Mr. Nunes mentioned Ms. Lerner. Who was her boss in 2011 and 2012? Who did she report to?
I believe it would have been
Sarah Ingram, maybe?
part of that time, and part of that time another gentleman.
Okay, and that other gentleman has since submitted his resignation?
I believe so.
And what is Ms. Ingram doing today? What's her job title?
She works on on implementing the Affordable Care Act.
Okay, who promoted her to that position?
I would have moved her into that position.
Why would you promote somebody to that position who was in charge of the exempt organization division, which certainly has had some controversy over the last couple years under an investigation?
Because she is a superb civil servant, sir.
So she had nothing to do with this.
I wouldn't imagine so.
Even
By the
though
way, I can't speak to individual cases. I can say generally, we provided horrible customer service here.
Okay, so pause. This is a IRS acting commissioner who's on his way out, who was, I think, the commissioner for 25 years, Steven Miller. So he's currently at the time of this video, he was the outgoing acting IRS commissioner. When we get to around the 2-minute mark, which is about a minute away, start paying attention. I'll pause on the important parts. We'll hear it multiple times of multiple times. So here we go.
I will admit that. We did. Horrible customer service.
You
Whether it was
targeted an
politically
individual.
motivated or not is a very different
You
question.
targeted an individual, an American,
All
who
right.
still doesn't know to this day why he was question number 26.
All right, time has expired. Mr. Becerra is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your testimony. And let me.
So these are a bunch of senators in this particular House Ways and Means Committee.
Key off of something, Mr. Miller, you said. You said foolish mistakes were made. I think the president actually said it better. He said that the handling of those tax exempt applications in that process at the IRS was outrageous and intolerable.
Okay, now start paying real close attention to what this guy is saying, who at the time was a senator.
No excuse. And as much as we know that
Representative
the folks at
Errol?
IRS have a thankless job because they have to go and tell their fellow Americans that they may be audited or they have to do this work understaffed, we have to maintain the confidence in the system because it's a voluntary system of payment of our taxes.
Agreed.
And so we have to maintain the confidence in the system because it's a voluntary system of payment of our taxes.
Agreed.
We have to maintain the confidence in the system because it's a voluntary system of payment of our taxes.
Agreed.
We have to maintain the confidence. That is a complete definition of a con game. Con game. Now we're not done because he says it 2 more times. That's why I said we're going to hear multiple times of the multiple times.
Agreed.
And so you are right. It was a foolish mistake, but the president's even more correct that it was outrageous and intolerable. Now, let me also focus on something, Mr. George, you said. When you were asked, was there any finding or evidence of political motivation here? You said no.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And so what we find is a situation where inexcusable activity took place because it erodes the confidence of the American people in a system where they participate voluntarily. And if there's a place in public service where you have to have the highest level of conduct and standards, because it erodes the confidence of the American people in a system where they participate voluntarily. Because it erodes the confidence of the American people in a system where they participate voluntarily. And if there's a place in public service where you have to have the highest level of conduct and standards, it's at the IRS. And so, Mr. Miller, I think it's unfortunate for those who are in positions of authority, but the buck has to stop somewhere. And I think that's exactly what we're saying. That should not diminish the good work that has been done by anyone within the IRS over the years. And so I hope you understand that you are here today talking to us because we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to clean up and clear out so we can go back to the business of making sure that people respect the fact that we have a voluntary system of paying our taxes. Business of making sure that people respect the fact that we have a voluntary system of paying our taxes. Making sure that people respect the fact that we have a voluntary system of paying our taxes.
That was a California senator. Now, continue on, sir.
Chairman, Mr. Miller, I want to talk a little about the culture of the organization. As looking at the note, your bio, 90,000 employees, $12 billion budget. You've been there 25 years. I'm concerned, and I guess to start off, we've got a mission statement there. I'm very concerned about the breadth and the depth of maybe what's going on. I think a lot of employees probably do a good job, but I've been a person that's been in business 30 years and run larger organizations.
Got it, Tiara.
So you've got a mission statement.
It's a voluntary
in terms
flag.
of talking about working for the American people, doing what's right, playing by the rules. Is that something that's internalized at the IRS, or is that just something on a website?
So I believe, Congressman, it's internalized, and the vast majority of our folk are hardworking, incredibly honest people. I'm going to tell you, and you guys should hear that as these discussions occur, it's damaging to the morale of those people. It's probably ultimately damaging to the sense of voluntary compliance, which underlies our entire tax system. The voluntary compliance, which underlies our entire the sense of voluntary compliance, which underlies our entire tax system. The sense of voluntary compliance, which underlies our entire tax system.
That is the outgoing acting IRS commissioner at that time, talking about our tax system being based on voluntary compliance. Now, listen on. We're not done. Like I said, I saved the best for last, people.
Well, let me just say, I think there's probably a lot of good people, but at the same time, we've got a massive PR problem at minimum.
We do.
And this has got to be dealt with quickly, and it can't just drag on for 6 months to a year. So I think we need to get to the bottom of it. The other thing,
be honest people. I'm going to tell you, and you guys should hear that as these discussions occur, it's damaging to the morale of those people. It's probably ultimately damaging to the sense of voluntary compliance, which underlies our entire tax system. Well,
let me just say, I think there's probably a lot of good people, But at the same time, we've got a massive PR problem at minimum.
We do.
And this has got to be dealt with quickly, and it can't just drag on for 6 months to a year. So I think we need to get to the bottom of it. The other thing, let me just ask.
So this is
in
from
terms of that size of-
2013. The specific date, I believe, let me see. The testimony was given on May 17th, 2013. So actually in like 20 days will be the 10-year anniversary. Ironically, I had no clue of that when I was deciding to do this video. I figured it was a perfect way to promote the interviews that I did with Sherry Peel Jackson and the upcoming interview with Joe Banister, to promote my private membership website as well as my Patreon channel. Because again, it is my birthday tomorrow, and it would be an awesome way to support the channel. I've got information scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you guys would like to send a tip donation my way, I have Cash App and PayPal down below. And right here, scrolling across, and my crypto addresses on that Cointree address. So that's pretty much what I was going to be sharing on today's video. Let me go ahead and see what everybody has to say in today's live chat, and then we're going to get ready to wrap up the live stream. Going to be taking the rest of the weekend off because, again, I am going to be taking an interesting trip this weekend for my born day. And if you have not already, please take an opportunity to smash that like button. It's supposed to help with the algorithm. And make sure you subscribe to my other channel, which is Rice Against the Grain. All right, so what do we have going on in the live chat? Again, I appreciate everybody for taking the time to join. Clicking the wrong buttons. Because time is our most valuable asset, people. So yeah, that black and yellow flag, that is for voluntarism. VOLUNTAR. ISM or IST, depending on if you're a voluntarist. Some people call it voluntarist. You can add the Y in there if you want to. But look up what voluntarism is. That's what the yellow and black flag is all about. So TR, you kind of got it right. It is kind of the anarcho-capitalist colors as well. So you got it right as well, Paul Revere, 1776. We got a nice little conversation going on, which I appreciate. Kathy Rennick, it's good seeing you in the chat. Appreciate you sharing your experiences. It's also hard to do that when people work under the table for cash and you don't really have a provable job as well. A shout out Tara Spence. Thank you, Mr. X. I appreciate that. Stereo frequency, thank you. Appreciate. AAPI, IRS won't get venue, then do revenue. Voluntarist flag, you said. I've not seen or heard of that before. I've always learned great new things watching your content. Thanks, Mr. Rice. Thank you. I appreciate your help, Tiara, your support. You are one of the lifetime members in the fundraiser, and you always are retweeting my stuff, which I really appreciate you doing that on Twitter. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I think this is a good place to wrap up the video, but I think I've shared some pretty valuable information. Again, shout out to Kraken for taking on the IRS. Shout out to Coinbase for taking on the SEC. It needs to be done. These government agencies or so-called government agencies are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So to put them under pressure. It's supposed to be a government of, for, and by the people, and the people don't stand up, and it's not going to be anything such. Obviously, these individuals are very, very prone to their masters. I have actually a really cool clip. I want to share it. It comes from the Freedom from Fascism documentary that Joe Banister and Sherry Peel Jackson are featured in. Also, Mr. G. Edward Griffin's featured on that as well, and he'll be in this clip. Listen to this.
The government works for a private bank, and the private bank works for its owners, the true masters.
People talk to me about, the issue of Republican versus Democrat, as if they don't get it. And I say, look, here's the way you get it. It's organized crime. All you do is you call the Republicans the Genoveses, and you call the Democrats the Gambinos. The people at the top, they treat it like a crap game, like it's their crap game, like they're making lots of money. Occasionally somebody at the table shoots each other, but the moment anything threatens their crap game, they all unite to protect it. They're both controlled by the same financial, economic, and corporate interests.
Once the banks get into the picture and they form a partnership with the government gives them the legal power now to create bank-issued money backed by the coercive power of government to require everybody to accept that bank money.
In the course of the last century, they have converted this nation from a nation of independent freeholders to a nation of employees. And they're just one step away from being serfs.
Most people spend the great bulk of their money for taxes, interest, and inflation. And all of that money goes to these two groups that comprise the cartel and their partner, the federal government. It's not a coincidence.
So if Congress used its legal authority to shut down the Federal Reserve System, the American people would be much better off.
So the guy that just asked that question is the director. That's Vince Russo. And all I'll say about him is he's no longer with us. Rest in peace to Mr. Russo and putting out that documentary. You guys can research that documentary and Vince Russo. I think I got the name right. Again, another hero standing up for things he believes in. I got to commend them very much. So a few things before we wrap things up, because we're about to do that. I said I would share information again at the end of the video. If you want to get lifetime to my private website is being built, I'm doing a fundraiser. 50 people will get lifetime access and a special gift, which includes the swag bag of Rice TVX, Rice Against the Grain swag, limited edition stickers, pens, patches, wood and nickel, all for $100. 5 spots left. Email Rice Media Group at protonmail.com. Put lifetime in the subject line. If you send funds on Cash App or PayPal, email me at that email and confirm that you sent it so I can get you added to the list. Until the website's built, I will send links directly. I will send you a list of all the exclusive videos that you might have missed that are available on Patreon. Because once the website is built, I will be terminating my Patreon, but giving a 90-day notice. So if you can't afford to do the fundraiser for $100, you can join up my Patreon channel. There's 3 levels of memberships. Again, just do it on a monthly basis. Don't pay for half a year or a year at a time. Only pay per month. So you can get early access to my videos. You can watch that Joe Banister interview, ex-IRS Special Agent, the upcoming interview, my 3rd interview with G. Edward Griffin, the author from The Creature from Jekyll Island. Excuse me. We'll see what everybody has to say, and then we're going to wrap up today's chat and today's video. Again, thanks again for tuning in. Wanted to try to keep this one as short as possible. A lot of my live streams lately have been a little bit long, and this will definitely be under the hour mark because we're under 50 minutes right now. So thank you again for tuning in. I love Mr. G. All agencies lack help and services. Deal with them all the time. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Definitely a true patriot. I'm looking forward to that interview, my 3rd interview with Mr. G. He's going to be 92 years old soon. Appreciate AAPI, and thanks for the birthday wishes. Aaron Russo, thank you. Not Vince. Why was I saying Vince? Go to my images. You're 100% correct, stereo frequency. Thank you for correcting me, because that's very disrespectful of me to mention somebody that's such a patriot and call them by the wrong name. So that's my bad. Shout out to Aaron Russo. Rest in peace. Thanks for the corrections, everybody. Thank you so much. Paul Revere, appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed, I encourage you to make sure you do so, as well as my other channel, Rice Against the Grain. It's a great movie. You can find it on Odyssey.com. Mike Lantini, thank you. Andy Lee, thank you. True Blood Till I Die. I don't know why you said that, man. That's not really cool. I'm just gonna go ahead and block you, man. I'm not really appreciative of that kind of language. BitBoy's been very supportive of my channel. I don't always agree with everything that Ben Armstrong does, but he's still a friend. Appreciate you subbing. I don't think I've blocked you at this point, True Blood. So just chill out with what you say in my comment section, please. Otherwise, if you say anything like that in the future, I'll just have you removed. It is what it is. It's my channel, but it is what it is. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to tune in for today's live stream. I'll have another video coming out on Monday. Take time to catch up on the content you might have missed on both of my channels. I'll go ahead and highlight that for a second. So over on Rice TVX, we have a video explaining and summarizing the fourth turning. I also have a video talking about international and national news on the central bank digital currency level. I cover Gary Gensler and his hearing, the Circus Act, and there's an interview with Tone Vase. As you can see, my view count is very low. So if you happen to missed out on these comments, go into the live tab and you'll catch up on videos you missed over the weekend. I also have the speech that I gave over at Crypto Mindset Reset 2 in the video section, all of which you can find on the home section. So be sure to check those out. And over on Rice Against the Grain, if you're a fan of my legal fiction content, if you like the Stranger Than Fiction videos, you will now find them on Rice Against the Grain. So make sure you're subscribed at Rice Against the Grain. If you like the legal fiction topic that I cover with the law studies, I do 2 videos that total up to about 5 hours. It covers everything regarding my thoughts with the legal fiction based off of my years of research, interviews, and interactions with these teachers and gurus and viewers and subscribers and such. So I encourage you to check out those videos. I also have my speeches that I gave at Truth-a-thon 3 and at Truth Tour 3. Truth-a-thon 3 I did from home over the internet, and Truth Tour 3 I gave in person in St. Petersburg, Florida. That was on March 31st. And my 4th interview with Alphonse Fagiolo, in case you guys missed that. The views are down, the subscriber numbers are down, so I would like for you guys to subscribe to both of my YouTube channels. You can find information at Rice TVX for links for those channels. Sign up for my mailing list, close it out, and here you go. All my links, all my channels, all my socials. The site will be redesigned soon, and we'll have the private website built. Check out the last little bit of comments, and then we're going to wrap things up. Appreciate you saying that, Mr. David. David actually drove me down to Hit Network and BitBoy Crypto Studio, which I appreciate everybody at that place, the hospitality. It was a great experience. Okay, well, looks like we're done. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Again, I encourage you to share this video with 10 people and have those 10 people share with 10 of their friends and their family members. Let's make this information spread and let your consciousness be your guide. And as always, I encourage you, be a blessing to others, treat people how you want to be treated, be the glitch that you want to see in the matrix, and be the change that you want to see in the world. And until next time, literally, I'll see you on the other side.